Hey guys, welcome to another episode review. I haven't done one of these in about a month or so, a couple of months actually. The last one I did was bringing down Babyface, the one from Tailspin, which basically, in my opinion, followed in the footsteps of what they did with Double O Chipmunk and Mind Your Cheese and Q's and Rescue Rangers. But with that being said, I should say, let's talk about this newest one, and that is Adventures in SquirrelSitting. That's right, speaking of Rescue Rangers, we're going right to one of the first episodes of Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers, Adventures in SquirrelSitting. This is where we were introduced to the character Tammy Squirrel and her sister Binky Squirrel. And basically, this is where we pretty much got an idea that the creative staff, the writing team behind the series, was going to basically give both Chip and Dale a taste of their own medicine. And what I mean by that is, when you watch the very first episode, which was officially Catteries Not Included, and then you watch the rest of the series moving, forward, including, the pilot that came out during their debut in syndication, and you pretty much know that Chip and Dale have a thing for Gadget. I mean, heck, they dedicated a whole episode to that, to that fact, I'm trying to say, because of the worriness that they had that she was falling for somebody outside the team. Well, here, Adventures in SquirrelSitting, like I said, kind of gave us the first taste of what it would be like for the shoe, if you will, to be on the other foot. And in this case, it's Chip being crushed on and being shown an attraction, to by Tammy Squirrel. And the way this came about, basically, long story short, is the Rangers are chasing after Fat Cat after he and his minions, his goons, stole this priceless artifact called the Maltese Mouse. So basically, in exchange for Tammy and her sister's well-being, they trade they give the Maltese Mouse back to Fat Cat. Now you might ask, well, how did this come about? Well, it's real simple. As they got the Maltese Mouse back, while they were following Fat Cat on the Ranger Skate, I wouldn't say Ranger Skate, but one of those carriages that you would see be pulled in Chinatown even to this day, I guess out of respect and paying homage to the past. Basically, long story short, again, I know I just said that, but long story short, they get the Maltese Mouse back. But they basically don't see, what I'm trying to say is they basically don't see this ramp lifting up. You know how some streets have these ramps that actually are elevators in disguise for underground work? Well, they don't see this pulling up. So first, Fat Cat and his goons fly off of it because they don't, see it, or they're trying to avoid it and they can't. The Rangers follow suit, and what happens is we can assume that both parties ended up landing in the tree that houses Tammy, her sister, and her mom. And what happens is, even though they don't bump into Tammy and Binky yet, they basically crash right into the mother, if you will. And then that's how the whole thing of Fat Cat kind of capturing both Tammy and Binky and comes about, and how the exchange for their safety for the Maltese Mouse comes to be. Anyway, to get to why Tammy ends up crushing and being attracted to Chip in this episode, getting to how that occurs, basically, Fat Cat, I guess you could say in his own Fat Cat way, lives up to his end of the bargain, releases the girls, but he doesn't just say, here you go, safe and sound. No, he just literally, drops them. He literally drops them. And by literally dropping them, both all the Rangers basically have to try to catch him. Well, mostly the guys do. So Chip, he's able to catch up to where Tammy's falling towards and catch her literally in her arms and tumble around with her. Well, Dale, he's trying to catch Binky, and she just literally bounces off his head and into Monterey's arms. And when Tammy kind of comes to a little bit after, being rescued, she sees Chip, he's standing there, and you see the sunlight just, in the background, like a knight in shining armor kind of deal. And Tammy sees this, and she's just suddenly, she sees Chip like this, and she's suddenly smitten. She's suddenly smitten. And, let's just put it this way, shenanigans ensue from there. And what I mean by shenanigans, if you will, what I mean by shenanigans is basically Tammy's mom is expecting company that night, so to make up for what they did, they offered to take the kids, with them back to headquarters for a sleepover, basically for a night out, a night away from the mom, so she could, be at home, get everything together, and entertain the guests that are coming over. So basically, the Rangers, at the suggestion of Gadget, basically agree to babysit the girls. Tammy, however, is a little embarrassed by this, if you will, and instead offers, basically, she realizes what her mom's doing, right? But because now she wants to act all grown up in front of Chip, she basically tells her mom she's too old to be babysat, but that she'll go along to help Chip with the baby. And like I said, shenanigans just ensue from there. You have Tammy doing her best while at Ranger headquarters to impress Chip, to get him to really, fall for her, like her, and everything. Basically, acknowledging she can cook a lot of wonderful things in the kitchen, and she could do this, she could do that. All kinds of stuff, right? But the other reason she's doing this is Chip gets very complimentary of Gadget. Basically, like when they're giving Tammy and Binky a tour of Ranger headquarters, he brings up the fact that a lot of this, that's put together in the headquarters is all Gadget's doing. And of course, Tammy, like I said, gets jealous, and she starts to basically set out in her own way to prove that she could be just as good, if not better, than Gadget. And it gets to a point that, long story short, and I know I just said that earlier, but I got to say it here. Basically, they have to, I guess you could say, save Binky from herself, because of course Binky, being the youngest, the baby, if you will, she's very curious about stuff, and she ends up basically, being a baby, like I said, curiosity, gets to them. She ends up turning on the Ranger plane. She turns on the Ranger plane, and she just doesn't, she knows what she's doing, but she doesn't know what she's doing. You know what I'm saying? So they have to rescue her. They have to save her from herself. And this, of course, it leads to a moment where, Chip thanks Gadget for, kind of being there to help them and kind of rescue them. Both because he was there to catch Bink, from falling out of the plane, and Gadget, shoots a little bow staff, if you will, or a makeshift plunger bow staff, if you will, to save them. So, anyway, like I said, Chip is complimentary to her, and of course, this makes Tammy not Gadget, but Tammy makes Tammy jealous, is what I'm trying to say. Makes Tammy jealous to the point that she tries to tries to do an over compliment, if you will, by acknowledging that Chip was the real hero, and everything, that he was heroic. And then, of course, this leads to Dale and Monterey teasing Chip about that, and that's basically what leads to Chip finally just, having enough. It's like he's had enough, if you will. And he basically tells Tammy off. I wouldn't say tells Tammy off, but he basically puts his foot down on her and says, he's just had enough. He's had it up to here with her and stuff. And then when she says the one thing of they have rescue ranger stuff to do, he basically gets right in her face and says, "You're not a rescue ranger, and stop calling me Chipper." And this basically hurts her feelings. And he does this unbeknownst. I don't know if he realizes what I don't know if Chip, out of anger, doesn't realize, how he does this, but he does this right in front of Dale and Gadget. And because he hurt her feelings, Tammy is now more determined to prove that she could be just as good, if not better, than Gadget. And she plans to do this by going and taking her sister with her to go get the Maltese mouse back. Now, of course, Chip, still angry about this, still upset, goes into the living room, sits down and says, "Those kids are a pain. I can't wait till they're gone." Unbeknownst to the fact that here come the other team members, and all of them just get on him for what he just did. Gadget's like, "I'm surprised at you. You hurt Tammy's feelings. I'm ashamed of you," kind of deal on that. Dale bonks him on the head for once and acknowledges, and finally says the one thing that everybody pretty much knew watching, that, "Hey, she likes you, dummy. Wake up and realize this girl likes you." And basically Chip's trying to come up with an excuse, and he's like trying to be like, "Well, and he's just getting stared down by everybody, and he's like, "Oh, crap." Because he's now realizing, "Yeah, I screwed up." Basically that's what it is. Everybody's just staring down on him after they call him out for what he did, and he's just like, "Yeah, right, I screwed." He doesn't say this, but you could just tell in his expression that, he's just realizing, "Oops, I screwed up." And he tried, and basically getting to the end, he tries to go and apologize to Tammy for what he did, tries to tell her that he does like her, and tries to explain, why, maybe it's not, how she would want it though. And then that's when he finds out that she disappeared, she's, left along with her sister, and to go get the Maltese mouse. So they got to go to Fat Cat's headquarters and rescue them in disguise, that being Chip and Dale more specifically. And this is where we get the song "The Fat Cat Stomp." This is the second episode, believe it or not, in the series that's a musical. And anyway, they go to Fat Cat's to get them back. Part of their plan there sort of succeeds, but then it backfires. But then in the end, they are able to thwart Fat Cat, get the Maltese mouse back, if you will. And, Tammy basically proves herself that, even as Chip says at the end of the episode, that maybe she is ready to be a rescue ranger. And then Tammy's like, "Yeah, maybe, maybe not." But then she tells Chip she still thinks he's cute, and then she kisses him, and everybody's just laughing. And Tammy's mom's like, "Tammy," So overall, this is an episode that, for one of the earlier episodes during what is known as the Disney Channel Spring Sneak Peek preview, because that's what it was. You see, one thing about Disney Channel is they would always do these spring sneak peeks of upcoming animated shows that were coming out on either Saturday mornings or in syndication. And they did that here with Rescue Rangers, and Adventures in SquirrelSitting was one of those episodes. So overall, even for being one of the earlier episodes, I thought it was very, very well done. I thought it was good. It had a good message to it. The story was, like I said, it had a good message to it. The story, from beginning to end, was excellent in my opinion. I love the fact that, as I mentioned earlier, the creative team decided for this series, not just with this episode, but with an episode that would air towards the end of the series, to kind of put the shoe on the other foot when it came to characters being attracted to Chip and Dale. And in this case, in this case, it's Tammy being attracted to Chip, and then later on we would see the same with a certain bat being attracted to Dale, if you know what I mean. But yeah, if you have not seen Adventures in Squirrel Sitting, you need to do yourself a favor and see it. And you need to see why Tammy is one of the more beloved characters, and why, as I mentioned in my closer look updated video of the 8-issue Boom Studios series, why, Ian Brill decided to bring her back along with that certain bat that has a thing for Dale. So, overall, guys, that's all I'm going to say on it. But again, I recommend checking it out. I think you will thoroughly enjoy it. So until next time, like the video, comment down below, if you will, as well as during the live chat in the live chat during the premiere. And I will talk to you later. But guys, check it out. And until next time, until the next episode review, I am out.